Hello everyone and welcome back to Animation Pilgrimage, the show where Tennille and I take a look at every single theatrically released animated film in chronological order. I'm Whitney.
I'm Tennille.
And we have done it! We've gotten back. While it's been like 1 week off for you guys, it's been 3 weeks off for us because we have been sick.
Yes.
We caught the big C.
Yeah, unfortunately.
And
we caught the panini.
Got the pandemic, and it really knocked the hell out of us. But
we're happy to be getting back, and our voices might sound a little funny today, but we are slowly recovering and getting better.
And we're getting back to all of our regular work.
Yeah.
And on top of that, we have done it. We have done Animation Pilgrimage for 5 years.
This is the 5-year anniversary of Animation Pilgrimage. Can you believe it?
Technically, July 9th is the 5-year anniversary, but we've been doing...
And also, the anniversary of, like...
Your birth.
29 years of me.
Yeah, wow. Yeah, your birthday's July 9th, and the first episode happened to come out on your birthday.
Yeah.
We have been doing this show for 5 years, and that's insane. Now, because we were sick, we didn't really prepare a whole lot for the 5-year celebration, but I did...
We were really excited that it was coming up, and then we got sick, and it just kind of ended up sneaking up on us.
Yeah, but I did find a couple of neat factoids. This episode is our 280th episode.
Wow.
We have done 280 Animation Pilgrimage videos.
Wow.
That being said, that also includes like our wrap-up videos and our shows and shorts episodes and things like that. So the actual number of individual films that we have covered on Animation Pilgrimage is 255.
Wow. That's so many movies we've seen.
Yeah, that's over the course of the early 1900s up to 1981.
Right.
And obviously right now we are still going back and doing some catch-up films before we move on to 1982. So this will not be right at the end of 1981 or anything like that.
Yeah.
So there'll be other movies past this that we've watched already. But yeah. I think that's really neat that they were such round numbers.
They were such round numbers.
280 episodes, 255 movies. And yeah, I think that's really cool.
I think we've made really good progress over 5 years. Considering
Absolutely.
how massive this project is.
So I guess just a general thank you to everyone that has ever found any of these movies for us to help with this Animation Pilgrimage.
Thank you to anyone who's ever found us movies. Thank you to anyone who's ever translated. Thank you to anyone who's ever found more information or left more information in the comments below. Thank you to everybody who supported this project, be it just liking these videos, watching them while you work on your homework or do something else. Thank you to the animation professors who have reached out to us and thanked us for doing this project because it's an easy thing to show their class about animation history. And yeah, just thank you everyone.
Yeah.
And like doing a little bit of reflecting on the project, I really can't emphasize how much I've learned doing this project.
Yeah, same.
I went into Animation Pilgrimage with, the confidence of someone who really likes animation history and being like, yeah, I know quite a bit of animation history. That's why I'm really excited to do this project. But I can't even begin to describe how much I've learned and how much I've changed and my ideas and opinions have grown by doing this.
Oh, yeah. We have seen so many films that we had never even heard of before. And a lot of them have become some of our favorites.
Yeah.
So I would honestly love to hear from people in the comments about what some of their favorite films have been that we've covered so far.
It's been a really amazing journey, and I'm excited for another 5 years, because heaven knows we aren't going to be finished in another 5 years.
Oh, absolutely not. We won't be finished in 5 years. While this may have covered the first 80 approximate years of animation history, the following 40 are just as dense, if not much denser than those 80 years.
And we're more likely to be able to find the movies.
Yes.
Let's both make a prediction now. Where do you think, what year will we be on in 5 years?
93.
You think 93?
I'm going to guess 93. 1993.
I was guessing, like, that's kind of what I was thinking.
We're only
too.
going to cover, like, 10 to 15 years over the next 5 years of doing this project.
I'll give it a little... I'll be a little bit more generous. I'll say we'll be at 95. That seems unlikely, but...
Okay.
I'd honestly be shocked if we made it to the 90s.
Yeah, I mean, who knows?
Yeah.
Who really knows?
Anyway, you ready to talk about this film today?
Sure. So, this is honestly quite a lackluster film to be talking about on our 5th year anniversary, but hey, that's how it happens sometimes.
Yeah.
We watched Secret of 77 Dan, or Dan, I'm not actually sure. This is a 1978 film from South Korea. And I want to say thank you to both Michael Ray and OK Scale for finding this movie for us and providing additional information for the background of this movie as well.
Especially thank you for providing the background information, because through that I was able to look into more background information that I otherwise would have hit a roadblock pretty early on in my research, because if you just Google the title of this film, you get nothing. You get absolutely nothing. So with the little bit of information you were able to provide, I was able to do a lot more research than I normally would have been able to. So thank you very much.
Cool. Good. Awesome. This was certainly a film.
Yeah, it's pretty poor all around. The animation quality is, really mediocre.
The recording quality is low. The dubbing, well, I guess we didn't see a dub. We actually saw a subtitled version.
Yeah.
But the subtitles were very straightforward and not necessarily translated correctly in every spot to make sense for an English reading audience.
The cinematography isn't great. It makes the narrative really confusing to follow, and the story structure takes a really long time to figure out what the story is focusing on, which means that, you don't know who you're, what characters you're supposed to be invested in. It kind of leads you to believe that, one character is the main character, and then that character gets dropped, and then we start following these other characters, and then the first character comes back again. It has a lot of structure problems.
Yeah. How about we go into as best of plot synopsis as I can do?
Yeah.
So our story follows 2 Korean siblings who work as acrobats in a circus. Of course we have to cover a circus in our 5th year anniversary episode.
Would it be animation without a circus?
I guess not. So these are 2 forlorn orphan children, and they are acrobats, and they're pretty good at what they do. And there's, as the movie calls him, an idiot man who is also in the circus, and he just kind of looks out for them. And he's the guy that we thought was kind of the main character for a bit, but no, it's actually the 2 orphans are the main characters. Anyways, he kind of watches out for them, which is important because the circus is
Evil and stuff.
They force these kids to do all these acrobatic things, and they're not allowed to leave, and yada yada yada. Also, there is a vigilante guy called Black Hood who is in the area, and the Korean, or is it the Chinese government? I don't know. There's at least one government in the area that wants Black Hood caught and a big reward given because, I don't know, he does vigilante justice. He beats people up.
I'll stop you there. It's probably Japan.
Oh, Japan.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And I'll get into why later on, but yeah.
Okay. Anyways, these children are being sad and whatever, and then a man shows up and claims to be their uncle. And he says that his sister, aka their mother, had her children stolen away from her when they were very young. Mm-hmm. And he has spent his life looking for these children, and he finally found them.
Yeah.
And they are his grandchildren. The circus people...
His niece and nephew.
Yeah, not grandchildren, niece and nephew. Sorry, he looks like a grandpa.
Yeah, yeah.
The circus people find out, and they kick him out of the circus. And then the kids try to escape, and it kind of works, but then the girl gets recaptured, but then they save her again, and there's a random, like, curly-haired kid that shows up, and he's...
Their cousin, maybe?
I don't know. He's kind of working with Black Hood, maybe.
Uh-huh.
And he kind of helps them out. And then eventually they all get back to the uncle. And then the circus people show up again. And they recapture the girl. And then the boy goes to their super secret circus cave headquarters.
Yeah.
And then Black Hood shows up to also help save the girl, and it turns out that Black Hood was the random curly-haired kid.
Oh, wow. Who would
Wow.
have seen that coming?
But then it turns out, no, he was just pretending to be Black Hood. Instead, Black Hood was actually the idiot guy from the circus from the beginning of the movie, who was also from Korea. And he was sent here by the government to find these missing children and free them or something. I don't know. I'm going to be honest. I was very tired when we watched this movie.
Because we're still sick.
Because we're still sick. But
the plot was a little...
But in the end, Black Hood, who is one or two guys, help these children escape and get back to their uncle. The end.
And they find their father.
Right, they get reunited with their... right!
The uncle dies.
The uncle does die.
Yeah.
Yeah, but then they get reunited with their father, the end.
Right.
This was quite the movie.
And by quite the movie, we mean quite not a very good movie.
It was pretty boring and a lot of reused animation, and it wasn't terribly... Cohesive or well-paced.
Nah.
But we watched it.
We sure
because
did.
that's what we do here on
That's
Animation
what
Pilgrimage.
we do. Yeah, so while unfortunately this film does not have a whole lot of things I can really talk about in terms of the animation production or anything like that, I can talk about its source material.
Okay.
So, you might be wondering why this movie is even called The Secret of 77th Dan?
Yeah, I'm very confused about that.
I still am. I don't know why it's called this.
Okay.
But, I can tell you...
I can tell you there's a different name for the movie.
Okay.
Which was Group 77's Secret.
Ah. That still doesn't really...
Just do anything either?
No.
Okay.
So, it's based on a novel of the same name by author jeong-hwan and was originally published serially in 13 different segments in a children's magazine that was made by the author. So the author also runs this children's magazine.
Okay.
In Korea, published this story. And it was originally published, it wrapped up in December of 1927.
Wow, so it's been done for a long time before this movie got made.
Right. So this is a much older story than the movie. And what's more interesting than necessarily the work itself is the author. Because the author was a really early children's right activist in South Korea, and made this children's magazine, was actually the man responsible for creating Children's Day in South Korea.
Okay, cool.
Which is May 1st. And just did a whole lot of like translating of fairy tales, and he's considered like the children's author of
South Korea.
Oh,
that's
like,
great.
Bringing literature to children. He also studied as like a child psychologist and was just like really important in his work. I want to read a little bit from his Wikipedia page here. Bang Jeong-hwan was the father of children's literature in Korea. He started the children's literary magazine of Iorini, which remained in print from 1923 to 1934, and helped establish children's literature, stories, songs, and plays for children as a distinct genre. Original stories, adaptations, and translations Bang contributed to the magazine reveal his intimate awareness of the ways in which economic difficulties of life can affect children and corrupt their innocence. Rich with lessons, these works reinforce the view that good will ultimately triumph over evil and seek to restore the purity of childhood. In addition to such literary endeavors, Bang Jeong-hwan continually sought ways to improve children's life both culturally and materially. He organized theater festivals and public readings as part of the larger cultural movement for children and was instrumental in instituting Children's Day in Korea.
Sounds like a great guy.
Yeah, and unfortunately he died at age 33 from overwork and kidney failure.
Okay, yeah, unfortunately, okay.
Mm-hmm.
Well.
And to go back to the original story a little bit, we're going to talk a little bit about Korean history.
Okay.
So, this is definitely thanks to, who was it who found this information?
OK Scale.
This is definitely thanks to OK Scale that I was able to look into any of this. But the work, the novel, is probably based on a lot of the like political climate that was going on in Korea at the time, because in like the early 1900s, Korea was under Japanese colonialist rule.
Okay, yeah. Mm-hmm.
And in 1919, Korea started a movement to declare independence that they didn't officially get until after World War II.
Okay, yeah.
So this was definitely written in that time period where Korea is getting a lot of like patriotism and like trying to find their own identity and that kind of thing. And so like that's the kind of climate that this was written in, and it's the original work seems to be more about this boy trying to go help his kidnapped sister. The plot of the movie doesn't really reflect what I see about the book so much.
Okay.
But it's more so about this boy being kind of like an ideal Korean, like patriotic symbol, and like the idea of him being a good role model.
Yeah.
It's even suspected that this work could be based off of the work of real-life child advocate Yoo Gwon-sung, who was a Korean independence activist organizer who would come to be known as the March 1st independent movement against Imperial Japanese rule of Korea in South Jeong-hwan. I'm sorry about my pronunciations. I really don't know how Korean words are pronounced. But you became one of the most famous figures in this movement and later a symbol of Korea's fight for independence.
Awesome.
Yeah. So
there's a lot of cool history and information behind this movie, but then the movie itself is fairly lackluster.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, neat. I love when you can actually find information like this behind the movie. Mm-hmm. It helps give better context to this movie that is honestly pretty bad, and I would say most people would probably just skip this one.
Right, but knowing a little bit more about the history of, like, what inspired this and, like, what kind of events were leading up to that, like, to what goes on in this film, and it also brings a little bit more clarity, because there is a segment in the movie where the uncle talks to the boy about, like, yes, my boy, I think you are exactly the kind of, like, patriotic symbol our country needs. Like he does, like, kind of like this weird, suddenly patriotic speech out of nowhere, and now I know why.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So, yeah. I had fun learning, and the movie was bad.
Yeah. Either way, I think that's going to be it for our 5th anniversary episode. So join us back here next time as we continue on. We are staying in 1978, but we are going over to France, and we are going to be watching The Ballad of the Daltons, which is a Lucky Luke film.
Oh. Okay.
This will be our second film from this IP.
Yeah. Alrighty. See you then.